Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. On this channel, here we are starting challenge, improve overall answer writing skills. So this is the day one, and we are starting out with IB ACIO Tier 2. We are starting out with this because this will be our stepping stone to UPSC CSE mains, and we'll be starting our preparation with this. And let's go, let's do this. Okay, so first of all, I believe that you know how the exam of IBACIO Tier 2 is conducted. I have this clipping right here, and this is not the official notification, but it is good enough because it contains all the information regarding the Tier 2 examination of IBACIO, which we are concerned with. As we see that the stuff given about it is not very detailed, and we have to work around a lot of things by on our own. Okay, so first of all, we look at is that there are two types of questions. Uh, Although there are three types of questions, but when we say that this English comprehension is quite manageable, so we essentially are concerned with two types of questions. That is one essay, and second is a long answer type question. We have a 1 hour in total, and we have a total of 50 marks. So essay is of 20 marks, and the long answer questions are of 10 marks each, as there are two questions of 10 marks each. And IB has not been very generous upon us, and it just says that these questions are based on current affairs, economics, and socio-political issues. So we have to figure our way on our own here. What does it mean? And we have to crack the code here. Okay, that is a brief about the syllabus. And let us look at how we're going to proceed through this and how I can help you in preparation for IB ACIO Tier 2 examination and also in general getting better in writing answers. So starting off, we'll be particularly focusing on the IB ACIO Tier 2 examination, and eventually we'll switch our focus to general UPSC mains preparation. So I believe that will be a good plan, good enough plan. Now, as per unofficial information sources, we have come to know that the IB ACIO Tier 2 examination will be conducted somewhere in the late January. So we can assume it to be somewhere around 20 to 31st January, in the last week of January. So we have to prepare for that accordingly. We can see that we have somewhere around, we can say 45 to 50 days from now on. And that time is not very bad to be preparing for a 1 hour exam in which we don't need to write a lot actually. So one thing to notice here is that IB has not provided any kind of word limit on the questions or in the syllabus here, uh, quite similar to UPSC, I'll say. But UPSC at least provides a word limit on the questions, on the particular questions, and it says that there would be two types of questions. One would be of 10 marks, and the other would be of 15 marks. We know the stuff. So yeah, but what we can follow a good standard here is that for long type questions, long answer type questions, we can use around 200 to 250 words. So I guess 200 words would be a good standard. And for uh, okay, and for essay writing, we can use somewhere around 300 to 350 words. So this would be a good enough standard to follow. And rather than focusing on words, an easier approach would be to focus on the number of pages that we are using. Now, it's a known fact that IB gives out 84 pages to write answers for the Tier 2 examination, as it has done so in the 2023 examination and also in the 2021 session of the examination. So, for writing an essay, we have to consume complete of 3 pages of A4 size sheets. And the 3 pages, what I mean from 3 pages is that three faces. And similarly, for long answer type questions, you have to use 2 pages of A4 size sheet. Now, one thing you have to note here is that unlike the pages or the answer sheets that are given in UPSC, which are marked with margins over here for the left and right margin both, IB does not have any margin on their answer sheets. So we have to keep that in mind. So there can be two approaches over here. One thing is that we can draw our margins by on our own, and that would provide us very neatness and neat and clean answers. And the other would be just raw dogging it and not giving any margins and just going further as it is. So I suggest that you draw margins because it gives an impression that you are tedious and you are meticulous in your approach and your work. So drawing margins would be always a better choice. So your margin should not be as wide as UPSC's. UPSC margins are about 1 inch wide on both sides. So what we can do is we can just give a margin of about 1 to 2 centimeters on both sides, or you can even skip the margin on the right side and just give a margin on the left side, and that will work. So as you can see, there is no standard way of doing it here, and you have to figure this out on your own, what works the best. So that is something that I just wanted to clear in the early on in the session itself. Okay, so coming to the actual matter of the session, and here it is. So what we are doing today. So this is the day one, as we know. And on the day one, I'm not going to be very heavy, but we are going to be very crisp and we are going to be in very detail at what we are going to do. So here we are going to look at a few topics which I believe are definitely important for the exam, at least for the IBACIO Tier 2 examination. And I'll tell you what I have done here. So I have basically pulled this thing out from ChatGPT and I asked it to sort it in broader subheadings. And that way it will be easier for us to kind of prepare on these topics on our own. And yeah, so that will be our approach. We'll be going over these topics and we'll see what do we know right now and what else do we know, what else do we need to know to be able to write a good answer, and what kind of questions can be asked on these themes. And we'll come to know like what are the recurring themes over here and what could be uh, something that can be asked on these themes. So one thing that I need to emphasize upon right now in the starting itself is that if you're focusing on IB, you have to keep that in mind that IB in all its levels of examination, or like tier one, tier two, and tier three, it focuses a lot on current affairs. So as it is clearly mentioned in the syllabus as well. If we can take the liberty to call it a syllabus, then it is also mentioned in here that current affairs term is mentioned here. And my sources, uh, selected candidate actually, I have confirmed that they have definitely asked current affairs based questions in past years and also in interviews. So it will be always a good bet if you go all out on current affairs and focus a lot on newspaper reading and watching newspaper analysis video. And a good one that I can suggest is that of An Academy. It is free on YouTube and they have very good, if I can only write today. So, an academy, and it is a free on YouTube. These newspaper analysis videos, these are in English. These are free in YouTube. These are of very good quality, and you can actually directly start making notes of them, of some important topics which you feel directly on your digital notebook or on your physical notebook as well. And that is a suggestion by me for current affairs. Now let's start with the topics. So definitely one would be of internal intelligence bureau itself, where we are giving an exam. We are taking an exam for intelligence bureau, and we need to know a lot about intelligence bureau, why it was established, when it was established, and what is the role that it performs, particularly in the in ensuring internal security for India and combating terrorism in particular. So that is something. Then artificial intelligence, as everybody knows, that is an important theme. Then there is social media, and we can link it to say, elections, but social media, as always, like technology, we can say, is a cross-cutting theme. It basically uh, has an implication on almost all our aspects of life. So elections would be just one aspect of it, but we can extrapolate it to a lot other things. Then there is bronze crisis. We need to know why it happened, what the implications of it, and what is the current situation right now. Nepal crisis, as we know, we have seen in the recent past, and if you are residing in Uttar Pradesh, then Nepal crisis becomes very important for you, even in the interview of IB or even UPSC CSC as well, because Nepal shares a border with Uttar Pradesh, and along with Nepal crisis, you also need to know the Kala Pani issue as well. It is in current affairs actually, and that is why you need to know that. Prison reforms is a recurring or a constant theme in UPSC, like these reforms themes. These are part of the GS2 governance and polity syllabus. So, yeah, these are the six topics or the six themes which are important from the point of view of internal security and national security, actually. So, let us. Okay. Sorry, I was away for some time. Now we're back. Okay. So we'll start with Intelligence Bureau. And here's a few things that I know about Intelligence Bureau. And actually, it is not a lot. We'll have to look into it in detail. But before that, let's see what I can recall about it. So Intelligence Bureau was established in 1887. It is a pre-independence organization. It was established by the Britishers in 1887 itself. And it was majorly used by the Britishers to uh, monitor the activities of the Indian nationalists and to subdue the Indian national movement from uh, expanding greater or becoming larger than what they can manage actually. And that is why Intelligence Bureau was established. And in 1921, it was renamed as Indian Political Institution. And this is the time when the national movement was on peak actually. And that is why uh, this was actually renamed. And yeah, so and these time and during this era, the agents were actually involved in surveillance over the over the national movement, over the Dandi March, and the civil disobedience movement and the no cooperation movement. All of that we have seen about that in various movies and clips, and I believe you know a little bit about that. And after independence, actually, came into the hands of Ministry of Home Affairs, and it engaged in forming the role of a domestic intelligence as well as external intelligence. However, later it was felt that we need a separate organization for external intelligence, and after that, RNAW was established, and it was separated from IB, and that is how IB got its own existence. So that is something I know, but I also know that there is a very eminent personality here that is associated with all this uh, in this whole domain, and that person's name is RN Cow, and I'm sure that you must have heard this name somewhere. RN Cow was an IPS officer in the pre-British era, and he was one of the founding fathers of RNAW and IB both. So he shaped the uh, structure of IB and RNAW, we can say that way. Now, actually, let us do our research and find out how much we were correct and where did we go wrong. So here's a little history about IB, and I am sure that we are not supposed to know it all. So we'll just quickly glaze over it and not um, involve ourselves much into it. So in 1887, it was established, and it is one of the oldest intelligence organization that was established, Central Special Branch by the British Indian government. In 1909, it was renamed or something like this, and in 1921, it came to be called as IPI, Indian Political Intelligence. It was run jointly by India Office and the Government of India and maintained close contact with Scotland Yard and MI5. That's why I suppose that you know that these are the intelligence agencies of the British government. And then after 1947, it was uh, handed over to Indian government under the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is its current status as well. And so here are the functions of IB. We know the functions of IB. So IB is the domestic intelligence agency and a counterintelligence agency as well. And what is counterintelligence, you ask? So, counterintelligence is the operations where IB is performing actions to nullify or uh, negate the actions by other intelligence agencies which are adversary towards India, both state and non-state actors, whichever are adversary towards India, and they are performing actions of intelligence, and IB tries to perform counter action to that. So that is what is the role of counterintelligence agency. Now, in addition to domestic responsibility, so IB used a garner intelligence from within India and also execute counterintelligence and counterterrorism tasks. We know that. In addition to the domestic intelligence responsibilities, IB is particularly tasked with intelligence collection in broader areas and spheres of human activity and within. So we got to know that these are the main functions of IB, and the rest is nonsense. And I'll just add a note for IB and like that. And before that, let me add the information that we got to know that it was established in 1887 and now it is under MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, and it is the domestic intelligence agency, and the intelligence within India is already present here, and to execute counterintelligence and counterterrorism tasks. So this is the major function of IB, and this is the basic information that you're supposed to know about IB. That is all that we are not need to know about IB. Then we can actually build upon this, and we can use our knowledge from current affairs and internal security essentially to write on these things, and that will be good to go.